Please welcome to the stage Dr. Shelia Snoddy.
Good morning. Thank you, Dr. Seal, for the opportunity to present to this great body. Thank you to all of you for the work that you amplify in your communities around health and wellness. And I'd like to thank God for giving each of us a desire and a passion to be a part of this great work to ensure that we eliminate health disparities within the African American community. If I was in church, I would ask you to turn with me to Mark chapter 2, verses 1 through 12. But since I'm not in church, I'd like to just share with you an incredible example of how Jesus laid out caregiving. And since we're talking about sustaining these healthy environments for the aging, this is a perfect example of how we see here how Jesus teaches about caregiving. We know that that particular periphery talks about a paraplegic man being brought to a house by 4 friends who had to cut through the roof to get him in front of Jesus for healing. Now, if I could use my imagination, I would say that those people consisted of folks from the community. Certainly one was the pastor. One probably was missionary Mary. The other was the caregiver. And certainly we needed a big burly man from the community to help with the weight of the gentleman, the paraplegic that they were taking. But they looked at the needs of this gentleman, the paraplegic, and whatever it took, ensuring that he had the access, ensuring that the care he needed was available to him, the transportation, just everything that this man couldn't do for himself, this community did for him. So that's what I'd like to speak with you about today, how we can ensure these care communities stay intact, sustain themselves through caring for those who care for us. I'm Shelia Snoddy, and I represent a national organization in Washington, D.C. called the Coalition to Transform Advanced Care, C-TAC for short. And our mission at C-TAC is to ensure that all Americans have comprehensive, coordinated health care that aligns with their values and beliefs and honors their dignity. We all know that there's sometimes a disconnect between the clinicians, our stakeholders that provide other medical services, and the caregiver as well as the patient. Our job is to ensure that those efforts are coordinated and coordinated in a way that is culturally respectful and certainly honors the person's wishes. C-TAC also represents 140 national constituents from hospital systems to health insurers to local stakeholders, just to ensure that this coordinated effort on a national level is presented in a way that will advance the health and wellness of all people. The national dilemma here is that people often don't receive the care that they want or need during their illness, and we all know that from our own personal experiences. There's another need that is a dilemma here in terms of the aging. Every day, 10,000 Americans turn the age of 65. Also, by the year 2060, persons who are over the age of 60, the age of 65 will double by the year 2060. So you can see that there's going to be there is and there will continue to be a great need for coordinated health care, and especially at the local level. And that's why I feel that the Black church is so important in this initiative that we're here this week talking about different health disparities, talking about how do we care for those who can't care for themselves. In the C-TAC world, we define advanced illness as one or more health conditions serious enough to our general health and functionality. It declines as we continue to live, and curative treatments are no longer effective, and the quality of life increasingly becoming poor. So it continues as a natural progression to the end of life. As we go around the country talking about engagement and collaborations with communities and churches, we use the concept of this Ubuntu. And Ubuntu, we say in short, I am because we are, or I am because you are, and you are because I am. So it's really a philosophy of trust and respect. And we found that this is one of the ways in which we are welcomed into the different faith communities by respecting their principles and doctrines. We work with certainly African American faith communities of all denominations, but we also work with the Jewish faith community, the Muslim faith community, and the Hindu faith community. I'm going to quickly go through my slides because there's a video that I'd like to share that I feel captures the essence of both my fellow panelists as well as my work and what we're trying to achieve through empowering the faith community, empowering communities at large to care for their people. So how do we create this sustainable caregiving environment that I champion around the country for the sick and aging? I term it simply, walk the path with the person who you're caring for. Walk that path. And how do we walk that path? We walk that path by ensuring that the quality of life and the quality of care, as Dr. Satcher spoke about this morning, is present. We want to ensure that we live well, that we have as much happiness and as much mobility as possible. So the quality of life and care is important. Another element of a sustainable care environment is affordability and access. We all know that there's a challenge, and in this upcoming video, you'll see that affordability and access is certainly an issue, even for the haves as well as the have-nots. Choice, giving a person the respect to make decisions about their own health care and the decisions about treatments, and the right to say no, and the right to say, I want to try more. Support for the patient as well as the caregiver, which is essential. Effective transitions. As we age, we know there are transitional points in our lives, even transitioning to a good death. And of course, advocacy for and communicate the person's wishes. At C-TAC, we have 3 domains. We have policy and advocacy. Those people work at the federal and state level to impact healthcare legislation. We have the clinical model. Those individuals deal with the healthcare systems that not only look at clinical models, but also look at payment models and other items that impact the care of the patient within a healthcare system. And of course, my domain, the community action domain, where I empower and coordinate with communities around the country to embrace and develop these care models, whether that care model be at the beginning of the care spectrum around safe havens for conversations around advanced illness care issues or end-of-life issues, and all the way to the spectrum of faith-based care models.